Okay, in honor of our 5th anniversary, we're having a get together on Wednesday, September 13th at 3 p.m. Chicago time. And I also wanted to call attention to this nifty hat. Join the digital resistance, okay, which is the sort of sub motto of the WDMA. And David Foley and David Baer have co conspired to produce this hat. I don't know if there's any more available. We'll find out if you really, join the WDMA, we'll get you a hat somehow or other. I don't mean the subscribers, they're free. I mean if you want to be a real member of the WDMA, get a hat. And we'll throw one of those in. We'll find out how they did it. I'm sure there's a way. Anyway, join the digital resistance. We're talking about mail again today, and we're going to be revisiting a video from the very early part, and you'll notice how different the production quality is. Hopefully, we've made some progress. Also, if you're thinking of coming to the WDMA meetup next Wednesday, then I want you to get in touch with me. You can contact me on LinkedIn or John at WDMA.org, and I'll make sure you have the link. There's emails floating around, and there's a lot of invitations. It's a LinkedIn event also. If you go to WDMA.org group, I think you'll find it. But let's get going. Let's talk about the direct mail. This is one that was aired on the 17th of September 2018, very, very early, and I've also lost a little weight since then, so that's good. Anyway, buckle up. Here we go. Let's go over to the Zoom and hit go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Had a great time at NMOA. Got to interview some guests. That was really interesting. We're going to try and do more of that. I just sent off a note to Bob Hacker, and we're going to talk about millennials and sales and selling to millennials, because there's an article out saying you can't sell to millennials. Yeah, I talked to my daughter, and she said, oh, yeah, we got to be authentic about not selling by not selling. Anyway, so today I've got a lot of material, and so I want to go a little bit fast, okay? And so I'm going to go over here to the to Windows Capture. I was triggered by an article by Mario Carrasco. Great article, and he talks about 2 myths that keep marketing teams from using data effectively. Why do marketing creatives and data scientists often seem to be at odds, even though their objectives are ostensibly the same, which is, to grow the company, make more money? And the first thing is that data stifles creativity, and I think that's a really good point. I think that it is. So we're gonna move over into that for a second. There's a war between creative and data. I really believe that because I've been in on it for 30 years or 40 years or whatever, since as long as I can remember. Now, how do I know that? Okay, well, we have the data, and the data scientist, this is part of the problem, is the data scientist thinks that they know for sure. And depending on how much data they have, they're probably more like down in here in confirmation bias, where they have the feelings and they have the gut feel. There's very little up here in tacit knowledge in any field, okay? I mean, in explicit knowledge. And the way you get there is by really explicit field valid experimentation, okay? Now, so we've got these 2 worlds. We've got these felt worlds, and we've got these explicit worlds. And guess what? They're in creative and they're in data science. And a lot of data science is not explicit knowledge. It's just piled up a bunch of junk, okay? So the key to getting somewhere and making money with data is working together on this, because it's a process. It would appear, Hodgkins, that your gut feel is only indigestion. Okay, so we're going to talk about creative testing. This is my very first catalog. I still have a copy on the wall behind me if you could look up a little bit. And the guy actually has a band-aid on his thumb if you ever got a really close look at this. So the owner of the company was enamored with Land's End. So he worked basically directly with the creative people. I was only marginally involved, and the return on investment was just dismal. Okay, and so they asked me to come in and fix it, which I thought was funny. Although I was involved with the photo shoots and with the copy and with inventory planning and a lot of aspects of this. Then they kind of gave it to me and said, "Make money." And so we put some products on the cover. We made it look a little more like I can't think of the name of the one. Something with a V. It was a computer. When we started this catalog, there was like three big computer supply catalogs. By the time we actually mailed it, we had 60 competitors. So everybody was diving into the catalog business in 1981. Here's the original layout, beautiful, open space, airy fairy. This is what I did to it. A lot more information per page. I took that whole spread, this whole spread here, all this, and I put it into one page over here. It was one page. Okay. So I was actually started in creative. I did some work for Deluxe. I asked him, "Is there a reason why you don't want to look like the Czech company, even though you are the Czech company?" It's like, they had Deluxe business forums up here, but it sounds like an adjective, and it's down here that they are actually the same as the ones who printed your checks. Well, this is what I did to it. Like doubled the revenue. And they had this little other project. Then they loved me. They gave me this project. Okay, introducing a way to collect monthly payments, introducing a money saving way to collect your monthly payments. Okay. And here's their thing, and here's what I did. I added $1.47 as low as free information, call out on the 800 number. You can see, you can't even see how to get hold of them on this one. Okay, guarantee highlighted, customized for each unit. Would have loved to have the red circles, but that was just for you. Okay, so but creative is a difficult deal. Here was a client came in with this, and he literally pasted these things from other mailers and places that he got, and from manufacturer stuff. You can see they're kind of tilted down, and nothing's quite square. And he kind of did this on a typewriter and pasted it in. And so he thought if we could get the artists and the creative people to work on this, and we actually had a sample of this tie down strap, and everything's all beautiful and arranged, and we printed it both sides, and we glued this piece of strapping on. It bombed. It did about a third as well as the one he did. Sometimes integrity is important, which, so sometimes when you clean it up and make it beautiful, it does worse. I've had paper tests where almost always when we make the paper worse, it gets worse. Okay, so here was a test. I had to fire the creative director for this company. I got to work there for a couple of weeks, and the first thing I did was fire the creative director. So here's the test. Here's the test. Here's the original. We had a lot of big name clients, and we thought we would upgrade the image of this industry. And so I'd hand them to my clients, my just friends who own businesses and stuff, and said, "Hey, you might need some of this stuff." And they'd say, "Why would I want a Pontiac hat?" So after this happened about a dozen times, I got this idea that maybe we should put your imprint here on the cover of some of these items, just on the cover. We can keep these are all clients of ours. We can keep it classy. Okay, so now I've already given it away. Here's the test. You can see the difference. See the difference? We really tried hard to make it very little difference, as you can see. And so we got here's the side by side. I put this up at a DMA show, and more than half the audience couldn't see what we were testing on the cover. Anyway, this one did 40% better. 40%. That's a lot. That's a lot in a test, right? So I had this creative background, right? But and I could show you example after example of where we took an idea from creative and then modeled it and created it, like Bullock and Jones and like Lovesack. No, not so much them. But the article over here says Data stifles creativity because the creatives don't like limitations, and that's why you have to fire them anyway sometimes. But there's a better one. Data scientists don't think creatively. They think, well, we're not really creative people. And there's a lot of truth to that. In fact, part of the reason I went from pure creative over to data was there wasn't anybody creative in data. So nobody builds the werewolf variable. Nobody comes up with all the crazy stuff over and over and over. Okay? So I'll tell you this story. So what happened on this story, and then we'll cut it off. Maybe we'll do some more tomorrow on how to actually work with creatives, how to implement a structure where the creatives can understand and use the data uh, for a launching pad for their own ideas and their own adaptations. We'll go back to that other one too. Okay, so this was a company that had been around for about 50 years, and they weren't growing. They were kind of declining. They were named New England Serum, and they sold dog grooming supplies. Okay, and so one of my friends got a job there as IT director. And so we did a model, and it was Fifi the poodle, and it was upscaled, and it was all this stuff. And I'm going to run out of time. You know, I'm really committed to keeping the time short. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how data changed this company and grew them 30%, 20%, 20%, 20% over the next 3 years. A company that had been flat for a long time. Okay? And it's a great story, I think. And we'll go back to that case study and we'll talk about how we use data to drive creative instead of data to oppress creative, which we never do anyway, because, we don't want to lay out catalogs. I did that back in the day, you can see. Okay, so I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and for the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I posted that article on both of those sites, wdma.org and issm.org, but I can't figure out how to link to it, but you can copy the name of the article and paste it into Google, and you'll find it really easily. Okay, my beautiful alarm is going off. Thanks for joining me. Have fun with your data. I'm John Miglosh. Oh, like and share, especially on LinkedIn. Like and share. If you don't share, nobody sees it. The like is just between you and you. Have